And Shar Yichra Mais is basically the gate that is supposed to keep us. Thank you. It's supposed to keep us, focused in the right direction of purity of action, of how we do mitzvos, making sure that we have to do everything with the right reason, with the right conviction, and after talking a little bit about it, the beginning of this gate, he then went into an explanation of the deterrents that a Jew is confronted with that will sort of try to sidetrack them. And that basic enemy is the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is the impediment. Is the impediment to a person being focused, and for a person to be able to sort of completely harness their energies in the right direction. And we've been going through literally one after another litany of different. No, I'm not. Samach. Here in this book it's Samach, and he's gone through basically strategy after strategy what the Yetzer Hara is going to try to do on every single level of a person's spiritual standing. No matter where you are, there'll be the Yetzer Hara trying to attack that particular position, saying, no, you want to do it right this way, you don't want to do it the right way, you want to do it with this motivation, with that motivation, all of the different, it's incredible, all of the argumentations that a person can come up with, which is the Yetzer Hara, that comes up with convincing a person to not do the right thing. So, the last time we met, which was last week, he says that there is basically, it's pretty much at the end of the line, and the Yetzer Hara will try to get you to be, sidetracked in terms of maybe having you grab the opportunities to do the wrong thing when they come up, to try to maybe discourage you from doing the right thing when those things come up. It will try to tell you don't be overly holy, don't grab mitzvahs with so much fervor. Don't overdo it. Don't grab chumras. If it's time to relax, the Yetzer Hara will encourage you to relax. And all the different types of rationalizations that he's very adept at. And basically, again, at the end of every one of these chapters, or these examples, the Chavos HaLevavos has been very, very strong about what we need to answer the Yetzer Hara. Well, how do we respond to the Yetzer Hara? So now we're up to Dugma Yud, the 10th type of a sort of paradigm or situation that could come up and what the Yetzer Hara is going to do. So let's proceed from there. I have it on page Samach. You have Yud Aleph? Yud? Yeah. So right. So you got the right one. V'akashe ya'abed ha'yetzer as tikvasa, right? Okay, so we're almost done. It's amazing. I'm not sure if we can finish the prayer. Maybe we'll see how it goes, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a long shot. Okay, let's see. So if the Yetzer Hara is not going to be able to be successful, as he tried in the last example, in the last sort of paradigm of how the Yetzer Hara operates, if he can't be successful in getting you not to do the actual mitzvah, because, take it easy, relax, all these possible good reasons why it's not the right time. And despite the fact that the Yetzer Hara tried very hard, you were strong. And you weren't going to give in to those arguments. And, I'm doing it anyway. And, like the story I love repeating about the Chavetz Chaim, telling the Yetzer Hara 5 o'clock in the morning, if you're 5,000 years old and you're up talking to me, I'm only 85 years old, I'm going to get up and I'm going to, go daven with a minion. So if you have been successful at being able to defeat the Yetzer Hara on that level, the Yetzer Hara is not going to give up. It's not going to wave the white flag yet. The Yetzer Hara will try very hard to bring into your heart worries, and will always try to make you sad. And this is something that we see today in today's world. This is spoken about a number of times. There's a big push now to push simcha and sort of a light and positive chasidus into the educational system throughout the yeshiva world, because of the fact that a lot of the rabbis have seen that the prevailing, feelings of a lot of Jews when they hit the middle years is that sort of they're empty and they're just sad. There's just nothing going on. There's no excitement. They don't feel a real relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Yetzer Hara is very good at trying to make you feel down. We've heard, many people, since I started doing mitzvahs, I tried doing better, and yet, this happened and that happened. You see, it wasn't worth it for me. Maybe I shouldn't be so religious. Like all these types of rationalizations or argumentations that come in, based on a person's emotions, and we can be very, fickle that way and sort of susceptible to these types of arguments. So even though if he couldn't get us to not do the mitzvah before the fact, at least he'll get you to worry and to be negative after the fact. And to sort of say, was it really worth it? Here I try so hard, and nobody recognizes it, no one appreciates it, what am I doing? I tried, I banged my head against the wall to try to figure out the Tosfos and the Gemara, and I wasn't successful, or whatever positive attempts we make, the Yetzer Hara will try to maneuver it in a way where you see, it wasn't worth it, what are you doing? Why put in all that effort? With the goal of having us regret having done the positive thing that we did. Okay, and you do hear this from a lot of people, over the years and, over their different experiences. I wish I never would have done that. They didn't pay for me to do that. They didn't even appreciate what I was trying to do. I never should have gotten involved and volunteered in the first place. A lot of these things, which are really terrible for us to feel, because when you do something good, you're not doing it for any ulterior motive other than because it's the right thing to do. So whether or not it met with the fruition you wanted, or whether or not you receive the appreciation, that shouldn't matter. That's not part of why we do what we do. And because of that, even though you did it, but now is it really going to be seen by Kadosh Baruch Hu as a wonderful, positive gesture when you end up regretting what you did? The Rambam actually says, just like it's a frightening thought, but the Rambam says, just like when we do tshuva, we can erase it. An avera that we did through the process of repentance, and we're right before Rosh Chodesh Elul. Now, we start thinking about tshuva. The Rambam says you can do it the same way in the other direction. If you do a mitzvah and you regret having done the mitzvah is like it doesn't exist. You can sort of, just like you can undo the avera, you can undo the mitzvah. I can imagine that a person lives a whole life doing mitzvahs and one day wakes up and says, you know what? The whole thing was a big mistake. I never should have done it in the first place. And God forbid, all those mitzvahs can go by the wayside. It's a really scary idea. But the point is that the Yetzer Hara is now going to try to get you to do that so that you should not feel good about what you did. And therefore God's not going to receive it with the same level of love and appreciation that he would have otherwise. He says, he's not going to give you the same reward that he would have had otherwise. That you would have had otherwise. And conversely, if let's say you did a certain avera, and now the proper emotion would be to be upset about it and to be sad about it and to regret it. There he'll maneuver you in the exact opposite direction. He will try with all of his ingenuity to try to get the person to be happy about what he did. I'm glad I let him have it. That guy deserved it. I've been waiting 20 years to embarrass him publicly and just rip him to shreds. I finally did it, and I feel good about it. I really let something go off my back. And what are you doing? That's how you should be feeling. You should be feeling horrible that you embarrassed a person publicly, and you killed him. Why would the Yetzer Hara want us to be happy for an avera? Kadei shelibcha yischazek, so that your heart should be strong. It says, until you want to do it again. You'll feel good about it. The person gives into passion. He felt it made him feel good and made her feel good, whatever it was. And then as a result, you want to do it again. That's what happens very often. It's a slippery slope. A person trips up in one avera, and that avera opens up the door for other sins. However, he says, when if you can discern the trickery here of what's going on with this Yetzer Hara. And if you recognize a trap, so you have to be so alert to understand which arguments are true and resonate properly, and which arguments are are false from beginning to end. And I always say when I speak to yeshiva guys who are very, very down on themselves because they're not doing what they feel they should be doing, and they do averos, and they sort of now get into a little bit of a funk or a depression. So, I say to them all the time, so I understand. You mean to tell me because you're so spiritually connected that you feel bad about your sin, so now you have stayed in bed for 2 days? So this is your way of like a spiritual awakening to recognize how wrong it was what you did? Or is this Yetzer Hara telling you to wallow in your guilt, so you should go even further down and become a completely distant Jew? Because, by you sleeping in bed and not going to Seder and not waking up for davening because you feel down about what you've done. So what are you exactly accomplishing then? So now you feel that so now you're really beating yourself up for doing the Aver, and that's a good thing? Because now you haven't functioned the last 2 days? So the Yetzer Hara is you have to be so careful and really have to listen to the message. What am I being told to do here in this little voice that's talking to me? Is this little voice telling me something positive or something negative? And the Chovos HaLevavos is saying, if you're able to sort of detect the treachery and the deceit, and you place your heart to the various traps that the Yetzer Hara places down in front of us, then if you're sharp enough and wise enough, you'll be able to be careful and protect yourself from them. With God's help, you will stay away from that. And that's really what, the message in today's world by a lot of the mechanchim to yeshiva bachrim, who are especially sort of hard on themselves, is that just, keep going. Keep going. Don't wallow. Don't overly focus on the sin. We're not saying it's okay. We're not saying that it's not a problem. Sin is a problem, okay? But it's not a problem that you can allow to paralyze you. It's a problem that should mobilize you to want to become better, not to move in the other direction. So, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's help, if you listen to the message and you are sensitive to the voice, then you will be able to be successful. But if you don't, if you sort of just let this voice get to you and bring you down, he will suddenly overwhelm you. You can literally, this is sort of like a free fall. We've seen this, unfortunately, where all of a sudden a guy's rolling along, everything's fine, all of a sudden, boom, like there's just a tremendous fall from where that person should have been. And what happened? Just, you were doing fine. And it's almost like somehow you let that Yetzer Hara get in, and boom, he can really pull you down in a very quick fashion. He will almost in one fell swoop empty his all the arrows. What's it called when you have all the arrows in your whatever that thing, right? So that thing you have on your shoulder which holds the arrows. So yeah, right. We were going to go to archery. We would know if we went to the archery thing. We would know the answer, but the point is that all the arrows can be emptied into you, God forbid, very quickly. As Shlomo Melech says in Mishlei, Ad yefalech chetz kavedai. Okay, like the arrow will go into a person's liver and obviously kill them. K'mahar tzipor el pach, like the bird goes into the trap where there's a little bit of seed. V'lo yada ki b'nafsho, does not realize that your life is on the line, that you're about to go into a trap and you're going to get, trapped by the trapper's, instrument there, and you're finished. So we got to be very careful. We have to see what's a trap and what's truly the right message. And there's a very easy litmus test. The litmus test is this bringing me closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or is it taking me farther away? If I'm not getting up for davening, that's taking me farther away. If I'm not learning today, if I'm not doing mitzvahs today, if I'm lying in bed staring at the wall, watching soap operas for 11 hours, that's not bringing me to a better place. That's clearly bringing me to a worse place. So something, you got to recognize, so I got to snap out of this. This is not the right message here that I should be internalizing. Okay, so now ready for the 11th example that he gives. And if you're able to stand strong and you read between the lines and you understand the message and you firmly look the Yetzer Hara in the eye and say, no, I'm not going there. Okay, I'm not going to stop doing mitzvahs. I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not going to revel in the averis that I've done. I'm going to do the right thing and feel bad when I should feel bad and feel good when I should feel good. And he cannot seduce this individual in all of the ways that he attempted to. Is he going to give up right now? Not yet. This is uniquely for men. I mean, actually, probably when he wrote the Sefer, he probably had men in mind. Obviously, women can gain tremendously from the Sefer, but women were not, in those days, really that, inclined for this type of study. But so for a man, and we've mentioned this in different venues, more than once, that a man has a unique responsibility to learn Torah. And if a man is not learning Torah, then that human being, that particular person, is in grave danger of being completely swallowed up by his Yetzer Hara. A woman has a different spiritual DNA, and she can achieve great spiritual heights without learning Torah. But for a man, which is, I always wonder why women, all this feminist stuff, where I want to be like a man. Why do you want to be like a man? I mean, man's got so many more issues, which God gave him ways to compensate for those negative traits. But, a woman is just naturally more spiritually attuned to do the right thing. So she doesn't need Torah to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But this is so, having said that, I mean, obviously it could apply to a woman as well, but it's essentially the message here is to the man. Now, what's Yetzer Hara going to try to do now? He's going to try to get that person not to learn Torah. And he'll tell you as follows. You should be very happy. What do you have to, burn the midnight oil and fight to become a bigger Talmid Chacham? You should be very happy that you're one of the wisest and greatest people of your generation. What do you have to be better than them for? If you're just as good as the top people, so you should be happy. And besides that, are you ever going to know anything to the ultimate depth? Why are you trying so hard? Why are you working so hard? Just take it easy and relax. You don't have to burn the midnight oil when it comes to Talmud Torah, because after you're never going to really get it to its ultimate clarity. You know that Torah has no end. There's no limit to the depth of Torah. So are you really going to master it? Are you going to be the Chazon Ish? Are you going to be Rav Moshe Feinstein? So, you're good. Be happy with being good. You don't have to be great. It's fine. Mekivan shekain, and once that's the case, so once we've established that as, sort of the baseline that you should be happy with, being good, maybe being very good, but you're not the best. You're not pushing. You don't have to push it so hard. So once you've got the fundamentals down, and once you've got the foundational principles of Torah, then why don't you redirect your energies and your intelligence to things that you'll gain respect by the masses, right? I mean, again, it depends on which society you're in. But for many hundreds of years, people, certainly secular society, and even certain Jewish communities, if a person was a scientist or a doctor, that might gain them more respect in the community than being a big Talmid Chacham. Really depends where you are and who you're connected to. You could go in as Chachmas Hanagin Vapiyut. You can be somebody dealing with music. You can deal with poetry. You can be a linguistic with becoming an expert in grammar. Vachidus hastumos. You can deal with the hidden secrets of the universe, or some mathematical complicated equations that you want to unravel. Or different types of parables or fables that are going around with the people. And enough with all of the in-depth Torah study and learning the laws and all the subtleties of differences of opinion that's inherent in Torah. You need to get into Kabbalah. You need to get into the depth of analyzing the Talmud. The Higayon al-Sugeh HaShodim and all types of philosophical issues and all of its of the various dimensions and gradations. right? Because of how deep they are, and it's true they will give you tremendous sweetness when you reach them. But why should you spend all your energy on those kind of things? It's just it's a waste. The Yetzer Hara wants to get you back into a secular direction. Why don't you just simply rely on the Torah that you know from your parents? And we've heard this a lot. There are kids who graduate high school. They say, Rabbi, you taught me very well. I learned a lot. 8 years in elementary school, 4 years in high school. So now I'm going to go straight to college. Now, people can say, well, what's wrong with going straight to college? You need to get a job. Well, you need to get a job, but if you disconnect from Torah, that person's in grave danger. Okay, and you can get a job while still maintaining a connection to Torah. So there are many ways of doing that. But the idea that just relying on your foundation of what you have, and now you can move on to other things. That's the Yetzer Hara talking. Even things that you can maybe come to an ultimate clarity about. You don't have to work so hard. Just rely on your parents, rely on your rebbeim, rely on your teachers. That's good enough. Don't you rely on Masorah, on things you don't understand? Right? A lot of things we do, we don't really understand. We do them because that's what's been done for many generations. So he's saying, have that same trust in even things that you could understand, and even areas that you could grasp. Just rely on the fact that it's coming from a good place, and don't work so hard in trying to figure it out. So that's going to be the next argument of the Yetzer Hara. And here it's interesting. It doesn't really talk about a comeback because it's pretty obvious that your job and our job is to say no. I'm not going to slack off. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to continue my strong efforts to grow in Torah. So now he's sort of going to the next stage. So v'imlo tishma b'kol ha'yetzer, if you did not fall into the trap of listening to the Yetzer Hara in this regard, v'chetes chazik v'tesmasa lima Torah, and therefore you have now really, rededicated yourself, and you've been giving yourself over to the path of Torah study. So are we done now? We're learning. We're not listening to the Yetzer Hara. We're making the right decisions. Is there anything else left for us to do? Well, yeah, the Yetzer Hara is still not going to give up. Why not? Here comes the ugly J word. Okay, jealousy. Okay, and the Yetzer Hara is still not going to give up, because now that I'm working real hard, I'm learning real hard, I have tremendous desire for spiritual growth, and I look around and I see somebody who maybe is doing better than me. And maybe he's smarter than me, and maybe he's learning more than me, and as they reach a higher level, so what will my attitude be about that person? So the Yetzer Hara is going to start now trying to maneuver us to get into a bad place, where we look at that person and we say, I can't stand that guy. He's taking away my glory. He's taking away my honor. And that's obviously a distorted picture, but it's a picture that if we're not careful, we can fall into that trap. If those people are wiser than you, the Yetzer Hara will be very good at sucking you into a mentality that says, I hate that person. I resent them. And sometimes we don't even know why, or we make up other excuses why we feel the way we feel, but it's really not the source of the hatred or the animosity. So, and we try very hard to find fault. So we're going to look at that person and make up all kinds of false blemishes and defects that they have about their personality, because we're looking to put them down and to make them lower than ourselves. And to lower their value, to speak in their degradation, speak shamefully about them. It's as if they're sort of holding back and they're preventing you from becoming better, right? So, again, you see these people with a lot of jealousy and big egos, which really are rooted in insecurity. They can't seem to give recognition and credit to other people who are maybe greater than them. So you almost look at them as they are taking away your glory. They are depriving you of achieving what you can achieve. So kilu emsholu b'mchaz binascha. They have taken away your intellect. V'gozum b'mchaz chachmascha. They've stolen from you your wisdom. V'imata yosech chacham mehem. Okay, and if you're wiser than them, he will still try to fool you into thinking, into have you imagining that they are of lower value in your eyes. Because so if they're better than me, then I'm going to sort of say they've deprived me. If I'm better than them, I'm still going to look down and say, you see, look, I'm better than them. They're nothing. Now, maybe they're close, they're competition, and even if you might feel strong, but there's still be a need to sort of push them down to keep them far away from you. That's how sometimes these competitive things work. And you see even certainly in the political arena, you see it. Where people just can't handle their egos so big that somebody sort of tries to put them down or do something, and right away they start getting all defensive. It's sad to see because we should really be above this stuff. We should tisna some sichusa. And then you end up hating them because they're not as smart as you. You're going to say, see how foolish they are. And literally you're going to develop like a real animosity towards them. And you'll show this to the general population. And in your heart you're going to feel haughtiness over them. You're going to brag about your wisdom. To the point where you're going to be so into bloating up your own ego and trying to promote your own image to people that you'll end up saying that you have certain qualities which you don't even have. You'll know certain things that you don't even know. You'll say that. You'll brag about what you've done and about what you know, even in things that you don't really have. You literally will come to this false impression of yourself that you know everything. You're so pushing yourself and promoting yourself that you don't realize that you don't know everything. There's a lot you don't know, and you can end up becoming extremely embarrassed when people recognize that you don't know what you claim you have known. And you're going to come to think that you don't have to learn anymore. If you happen to continue to learn something else, you're going to believe that no one has the insight you have. So you learn something new. If you have this sort of completely sort of pompous view of yourself and of the world, and you're going to say, I just analyze this particular thing. No one could have analyzed it like me. I have the absolute number one understanding of this situation, and no one is as good as me in that regard. The Mishu Yaksha is al Dvarecha is a cushion. If somebody decides to actually attack you and to ask you a question, Tokutzbo, you're going to be repulsed by him. I can't hear such foolishness. What are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about, and you'll start yelling at the guy. He doesn't know what he's saying. The Tarbalasik is you're going to further solidify yourself in the eyes of people as a wise person. Not realizing that you're not doing that. All you're doing is you're just putting yourself down. But in your goal to maintain this position, you're going to end up really doing terrible stuff. And you'll try to gain honor by putting your friend down. And again, you see people out there. That's how they they feel better when they can put somebody else down and make fun of them. But this bar and you'll start showing off. Hey, look, I can make fun of somebody. I took somebody in my age and I outsmarted them and I outmaneuvered them. And you will end up literally empty and lacking all of the proper attributes of what a Torah person is supposed to have. I mean, think about this individual. How far is this individual from a Torah perspective of humility, of sensitivity, of not trying to give any credit to yourself and giving all the credit to other people? It's literally the opposite of a Torah person. And this is what the Torah can do. If we're not careful, we can get so wound up with this whole competitive, haughty type of approach that literally we can twist ourselves into pretzels and end up really destroying ourselves. Okay, so we've got to be very, very careful not to fall into that trap. But here's more good news. If the Yetzer was not successful, because after all, I mean, I'm not saying it's not convincing or that we don't have to be careful, but there's a lot of room for a person who's sophisticated at this point to say, come on, this is what you're going to try to sell me? That I should start putting people down and promoting myself and feeling good about other people's downfalls? What is that about? So if you are able to fight the Yetzer Hara away and not fall into this trap, in the regard of sort of focusing on the differences between you and them in the knowledge of Torah. So, right, because a great person will have the attitude, I can learn from everybody. And I want to hear whatever everybody has to say. I'm not that I'm better than you and I don't need to listen to you. A wise person always wants to hear from other people. So if the Yetzer Hara was not successful in getting you to sort of conduct yourself in this very haughty kind of way, based on your superior level of Torah knowledge, what will he do then? Okay, so and the wisdom part, it didn't go. You couldn't get me to be convinced that I should feel better and smarter than anybody else and to use that as a means, as a springboard for putting other people down. But maybe the next step is, maybe on wisdom I can't really feel that way. But what about in terms of my service to God? If I do better mitzvos and I'm a holier Jew, and I daven a longer Shemon Esrei, and I buy a more expensive esrog, isn't there room for me to think on the actual service to God end of things, that maybe I am better? And maybe that's where the haughtiness can possibly get in. So that's what the Chozava says. He will try to seduce us, lino klapeim b'tzura zu, to conduct ourselves in the same haughty fashion, based not on the difference in the wisdom of the Torah knowledge, who serves God in a better way. Tahainu, which means to say, if you do something that other people don't do, so you keep Chov Yisrael, you keep Yashon, and you have all these chumras, and you see all the people around you who don't have these chumras, it's very easy to walk around. Oh, look at how much better I am than them. So the Yetzer Hara is very, very good at elevating that which you're doing and giving you that sense of superiority to the people around you. And he will push you very, very strongly to have that gaiva, to have that feeling of, I'm special, I'm a holy Jew. Look at this. Okay, I go to 20 weddings a year and I don't eat at 18 of them because I'm such a frum Jew that I don't trust anybody's hashkacha. Look at me. There are people like that. Now, there are people who do it quietly and they don't make waves. There are other people who somehow let you know that they don't eat at all these weddings because they sort of use that as a springboard to their own ego. And you look at the other people of your generation in a very shameful fashion, because they don't follow you in this very lofty way. And you find it now acceptable. The Yetzer Hara will get you to find it acceptable to allow you to be repulsed by them. And to embarrass them and to shame them, based on this difference. Well, in reality, are you better than anybody because you keep Chav Yisrael? Are you better than anybody because you keep Yashon? No proof. It's no. I mean, you could be, but I don't think that's going to be the make or break issue. I mean, if you speak Lashon Hara and they don't, okay, you can do a lot of chumras, but you don't keep the fundamentals of B'Roma Chavera. Well, then, who's in a better position vis-a-vis God? So we shouldn't fall into that trap, but to think that we're better than anybody else because we happen to conduct ourselves in a higher fashion in certain areas. V'mishu mechavercha over sekel yosem imka. And let's say if you see somebody else, if you're in the same mode and you sort of need this badge of honor in terms of how you do the mitzvahs, and you find another Jew who's outdoing you, okay, and he's davening his longish Shemon Esrei, and he's got more chumras than you, and you look at him and you see that truly that person is doing more beautiful things than you are. and he truly, or she truly tries to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu more than you're trying to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So how are you going to feel about that person? The Yetzer Hara again will get you inflamed and get you all incited. And he will tell you, okay, anything that you see from anybody else in terms of focus and being dedicated to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that his excellence puts light on your lack of excellence. Okay, so that person is making me look bad because now there's somebody new in town who's learning more, davening longer, and doing better things than I am. Because it had not been for that person, right? I was seen as number one. There's a new kid on the block. He's getting all the accolades, and now I'm nothing. So that person is depriving me of all of the accolades that are that I'm entitled to, because before he came along, I was a top banana. I was king of the hill, and now I'm a nothing. And therefore, what should you do? Get people against him. Let me get my buddies to put him down, and let me try to incite others to diminish him, because you see him as a threat. Again, it sounds literally warped and crazy, but I hate to say it, we can fall into this trap. We have to be so careful that we have to rise above this kind of literally pettiness. It's just mamish pettiness, but it's a pettiness that unfortunately we see people do care about. V'kanei and get people to be upset at him, usnoso, and to hate him, and start investigating all of hire some steel dossier and get into his background, and let's find out some salacious stuff. And if we can't find out truth, we'll just make it up, right? And we'll report it to the world. We'll put it on fake news, and it'll be all over the place. So because I got to put this person down, I can't allow this person. When you think about it, it's probably we don't like talking politics here, but that's probably a lot of the motivation to constantly be angry and keep putting people down who we don't agree with. That part of it is because we've just developed this. They're threatening us. They're taking away our glory. The erov l'kashlonosov, and I will sort of trap him to try to trip him up. The sim lev l'shkiosov, and I'll focus on whatever fault he has. I'll always have my eye on that person. When's he going to slip up? When's he going to make a mistake? And the minute he does, I will try to spread that information with all of my power. And I will shame him to other people, and based on his mistakes, whatever they are. And if I can somehow even literally make up a false story about this fellow, and if I can actually even start literally bad-mouthing him with a lie, I'll do it if I can get away with it. That's how desperate I am to put this person down. So this is how low a person can sink, either from the point of view of the jealousy of the wisdom, or right now based on the jealousy of the person's spiritual stature. But either way, let's finish the parak, and we can make a little l'chaim, a theoretical one. Anyway, and therefore, so let's do one more paragraph. So when you have this kind of argument coming at you, where let's start getting petty, let's start getting jealous, let's start putting people down, aneloi, answer the Yetzer Hara as follows, and we should have these paragraphs really in bold, translation, and really stare at it and study it on a regular basis. But we should answer back like this: Eich emas es mi shelakim oevoso. How am I? How do I feel right or justified in trying to make repulsive somebody that God loves? This is a wonderful person. This is a holy Jew. I'm going to not put him down. I'm going to try to ruin his life because he's a holy Jew. How will I shame somebody who HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to praise? Okay, isn't there enough shame from my end that I'm just not as good as him? That should be enough the shame to go around. Ad sha'af esnas mishikin oiveraso. So I should literally stoop to the level. I should hate somebody who God loves. Where's that going to take me? What kind of place am I going to be, and what place am I? If I care about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then anybody who uplifts His honor should be somebody that I love, somebody that I value, and I'm putting that person down. So where am I? I mean, what kind of a completely ridiculous position is this? That's not. This is not what I owe HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just the opposite. I have to love those who HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves, because that's called loving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you will love those who He loves. And He loves all of us, and that's why we have this concept of Avtoracha Kamocha. So how do I end up hating somebody who HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves? I have to honor those who bring honor to Hashem. That's part of honoring God. Those who fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu should receive honor. Just remember, he says, what happened to Miriam. She dibra al Moshe. She spoke about Moshe Rabbeinu, and she was very well intentioned, right? But what happened? She received tsaras, because how dare you, in any way, impugn the integrity of those people who I love the most. Remember what happened to Korach and his entourage. Shekinu Moshe v'Aaron ala shekarvus Hashem yosmehem. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought Moshe and Aaron closer than Korach, and Korach was jealous. So what happened to Korach? God forbid, he had the most horrific end. He was swallowed up by the ground. So we just have to sort of get back to it. When these kind of feelings and emotions overcome us, we have to take, good, slap in the face, give ourselves a good slap in the face, and throw some nice cold water on us and say, wake up, what am I doing? What am I saying? In what direction am I going in? And Bez Hashem, if we can keep this focus in our minds, we will always look to mechabed those who HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves, and never look to put them down. Okay.